because it seems really ordinary what's going on in this whole text that's going on. But the reading itself seems a little bit confusing, even as to why it's here. Just before this, the writer had said, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples, which aren't written in this book. And then we have a whole chapter of other signs that are written in the book. So I wonder why those were put in sometimes. I wonder how this particular story was put together, because it's kind of a mashup of some other stories. And there's some really confusing pieces in it to me. But before we get to the confusion, apparently, after Jesus had been raised from the dead, and after he had revealed himself to the disciples a couple of times, the disciples go about their ordinary daily lives. That's just what they do. They don't go and do special stuff. They don't go and start churches. They don't go and have evangelism sprees about, hey, this is who we just met, and this is what's going on. They go back to work. They go and they fish. Or like us, we go to the office, or we go and we work on the line, or we work at home, or whatever that happens to be. So all of this stuff doesn't quite work out the way that we would think, right? I mean, we think, awesome experience with Jesus, go out and tell everybody. No. Awesome experience with Jesus, go to work. Maybe that's the important part. Is that when we take an experience with Jesus, we take it to work. We take it to our daily lives. We take it to school with us. Maybe not in an overt way of wanting to go and tell everybody in some preconceived and packaged notion of what to do, but maybe in a way that shows love. Maybe in a way that shows, you know what, I am not going to let you bully my friend. Right? I mean, we hear about bullying all the time. It's awful. I don't know if it's any worse than when we were growing up. Maybe. There's more possibilities and ways to do it, but you know, we should be able to stand up for that, and that's a great way to show that we're even followers of Jesus. So, whatever's going on, it's been a bad day for the fishermen. They have caught zero, which means they can't make any money, and they have no food for their families or themselves. Okay? Somehow, some way, Jesus stands on the shore and says, I know the good fishing spot. And it's actually just to the right side of your boat, which I don't think works. I don't know, because I'm not a really good fisher person. But last time what I thought I knew was that if you were in a good fishing spot, they would come on the left and right and the bow and the stern of your boat, because they don't know any better. And there are fishing spots. I do understand that we need to go to certain spots. But Jesus says, just flip it over the other side, and they go and they catch a whole bunch of fish. You ever had a day at work that nothing is going right? Everything that you had hoped was going to go right either went the opposite direction or never came to pass. Because all this other stuff started piling up that you had to deal with. Can you imagine having to deal with that like these guys may have been in this fishing boat? What if the reason that they weren't catching any fish off the left side of the boat is because there was a giant tear in the net? And then it just so happened that when they tossed it into the right side, the fish got caught up in it. All right, so here's what I'm thinking of, because you guys are all spacing on me. And I understand that. I get it. So I was doing laundry yesterday. You know, it's not so funny.
I don't think it's funny at all.
committed that there is a set of laundry that I will do every Saturday. And then not only, my only request is that your sheets come downstairs. I will wash the sheets. I will put them back on your beds. That's the deal. Now somehow though, so this is the roundabout way, and this is how I think. I was doing the load of, those bottom sheets that have those fitted ends, right? I was doing the load with that. Somehow more than just the fitted sheets got into this load. Like there were a couple towels. I'm going, they get all done, whatever, everything's dry, and I go to put on our fitted sheet on our bed, and it wouldn't untangle. I could not get it because sometimes it's hard, but this time I couldn't get it untangled, and there's like this volleyball-sized thing that got wrapped up. No, seriously, in the end that has the elastic in it, it got wrapped up inside of that, and I couldn't undo it. It was awful. It was stopping me from doing my job. Giggling, Teresa. It is a day. It's a day. But finally, I got it out and was able to do it. So, aren't there times like that at work and at home when it looks like we did the right thing, and then only come to pass at the end, you're like, what in the world just happened? And this is way wrong. So they're in the boat. They're not exactly sure who it is on the land. This is the other freaky part that makes zero sense to me, all right, on several levels. They're not sure exactly who it is on land because he's 100 yards away, which is tough, unless you got really good eyesight. I mean, that's difficult to make exactly sure of who it is standing there. But this one disciple says, "It's the Lord." And Peter gets stoked. Now, you gotta understand the work uniform for fisher people in this day and age. It's your birthday suit. Because that's just what it was. So, Peter and all the rest are out there. That's just a sight. Are out there fishing, and they're working hard. And the text said that Peter was naked. But then he gets dressed, jumps in the lake to go and see Jesus. Makes you wonder. Just thinking. I don't know exactly where that comes from. I'm thinking you're going to be having a lot more weight, and it's just going to be a drag. See what I did there? Dad, you're supposed to be on drums now. Bam! I'm just going to, that's just it for the day. So Jesus is serving breakfast. And they're not going to ask the question of who are you? Because they think they know. When they do know is when Jesus takes the bread and shares it and breaks it, and they know that it's the Lord with them. So I like breakfast. I like breakfast a lot. I like making breakfast, and I like eating breakfast. I like homemade donuts are the greatest. Waffles. I can make eggs just about any style, right, Brian? Mm-hmm. Right? I can make bacon from super crispy to what my nephew says, kind of fatty. And that's good because that's the way he eats it. And that's great. And I can make all those things. I like making pancakes. I like making waffles. And I love to eat it. It may not look like it, but I love to eat breakfast. I go out to breakfast at least twice a week. At least. Tuesdays, I'm always at Crema. Oh, down on Monona Drive. And on Thursdays, I'm always at Lazy Jane's. And on Wednesdays, if Mel happens to be home, We go to Cremont as well, so it could be 3
How do you spell
times.
Cremont?
Huh?
Cremont? How do you spell it? I don't know.
C-R-E-M-A.
Cremont. Thank you.
Amanona Drive.
Got it. Thanks.
You guys should go. It'd be a great place, Bradley. It'd be a great place to go, Leah, after worship.
Got it.
And Steve is a good guy. And golly, it's a day. Last week I called Easter, Christmas.
Yeah.
This week, yeah. We're going to get out of April at some point, and that'll be good. So I like breakfast, and the one thing I didn't mention that I might like the most is fried corned beef hash, which it's good. I like it a lot. My breakfasts that I have with people are always different. It's different from when I'm out with Mel, to when I'm out with my prayer partners, to when I'm out with my colleagues and talking about texts for the particular Sunday, which we actually talked about for this week, but apparently I'm going in other places than what we had talked about. I don't think that the disciples were a mess at all when they weren't exactly sure who they were eating breakfast with. I think that maybe the disciples were a mess because they weren't willing to understand that Jesus is within their everyday lives. That he isn't just behind closed doors, showing his hands and his feet to their buddy Thomas. That he isn't just presiding at a table where he blesses and gives thanks for bread and wine at the Lord's Supper or the Passover. And I think that the best news that we can get is that Jesus does come to our everyday lives. And he's there regularly. I think the problem is how we see it. And so the natural question would be, well, Pastor, help us to see Jesus in our daily lives. And I will say, I can't, because I don't necessarily. And I'm not that good at it. But I started figuring out how. And it has a lot to do with a really simple question. At breakfast, at dinner, when you're going for a walk, what was the best part of your day? Do you think Jesus was in there? What was the worst part of your day? You think Jesus was in there? It's the only way that I know that I can start to figure out where he actually is. I was talking with some people last weekend after church, and a question came up. I don't know if you guys watch this on my Facebook and stuff like that, but the question came up, hey, when are you having office hours? Not meaning not here. Like at Mickey's, at wherever, any place around the city. And I realized, I got in a really good habit of doing that, and I fell out of it again. Because, all right, well, I can't do anything more heretical than I've ever done. Jesus is not here during the week unless you're here too. And if I'm here all by myself and we can't be in a relationship that way, he's not here. When we get together and can talk, whether it's with me or with anybody else, he's there. That's when we can see him in this ordinary breakfast, in this ordinary lunch, ordinary coffee break, cigarette break, lunch hour at school, recess, whatever it looks like. We see him when we're with other people. And we just got to look. But at church, what we say is, Jesus, be known to us in the breaking of the bread. So we have communion every week, trusting that Jesus is known to us in the breaking of the bread.